So, that continue the discussion. That's the reason why I recommend you to use this my book. And so, two objectives. One is those books, okay, Japanese people, they don't know already. They just 150 years ago, Japanese, heritage.
Right.
Then I try to revive this heritage to all Japanese people. You should have dignity, you should have pride, and you should have your dignity and identity. And then they need to study based on my book. And of course, this is Japanese spirit of Japan is not only based on Confucianism, but also Buddhism, Shintoism. But if you're going to pick three of those, it's tremendous volume. I'm going to spend for 2 or 3 years. I'm going to write a book, but so I just only focus on Confucianism because Sonoda's recommendation. Just only pick on one of those. I can explain spirit of Japan, Japanese people speak, right? So good enough. So I written down everything into the book. So this morning Takahashi recommended me, and this morning I just explained this book, and currently this morning I just explained, like I told you. Then Takahashi recommended me, why not afternoon using this material discussed with Ed for this spirit of Japan and get more deep insight. And also, many European people are against what I'm talking about, or Japanese spirit was. And okay, we're going to discuss, debate. This is better way to understand the European people and Japanese people. So the first try to solve this each other's misunderstanding for the cultural or religious or whatever any kind of aspect we're going to discuss in deep level of discussion, deep layer of discussion we can take. And Japanese and European people kind of discussion we never have experience in before. So this is Takahashi recommended. I agree with that. Right?
But but like I said, I'm not sure whether my understanding of Western philosophy is deep enough.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's just common base. You can make a reaction for my book, and then based upon your common sense. And like I explained, like before World War II, Japanese government organized Asian countries try to give them opportunity for independence.
Right.
And this is Western people. No, this is not kind of, Japanese courtesy. This is Japanese imperialism.
So, neo-colonialism.
Right? But actually, to tell the truth, Japanese people thinking approach is not individualism type of approach. Japanese always thinking group, nation, region, Asia. Every time Japanese use as a group, Japanese way of this is culture. So if you're going to support Africa, they don't never thinking about Japanese national interest. They support with South Sudan. Okay, Japanese government tries to support for their agricultural project. Then purely support for agriculture project to South Sudan. They never consider for Japanese national interest. This is true. So this is kind of sort of things I think European people need to discuss. You're going to against opinion. Okay, Japanese war before too, we're going to organize Asian countries and going to unify and everybody cooperate each other. European people, no, colonialism. You tell a lie, they say, economists, journalists, you lie. No, this is unified. True meaning. Honestly, they try to do that, they never believe that. But Sonoda, I asked Sonoda, what is the intent of this? And this is kind of organization, Asian Pacific, and people get together before World War II. What is the true intention? This is just purely encourage them to be independent, he told. And material. Before I told him, you should tell a lie. Just Japanese invade Indonesia, you just independent. Invade Malay, you just invade Philippines. He said, no, this is Japanese people never think about it. Okay? And actually invasion is China. Do wrongdoing, everything in China. Because all the way down the battling for 4 years, 10 years. Okay, just invasion. But any other countries, this is no battle. Most peaceful is Indonesia. And worst is Malay. And terribly worst in New Guinea.
これは分かって
Tell
れ
me
ば
what.
英語で話できる
The military there, 200,000 soldiers there, but only
エッセンスの
20,000
答え使ってれ
survived.
ば自分の
And why
言葉で喋る
9 of 10 dead.
引用した言葉じゃなくて
This New Guinea, everybody. I went there. I saw the tank. I saw many things in New Guinea before 30 years ago. I went there. This is true. So, but sort of things is European people misunderstand. And we need to discuss for those. Okay, what is a fact? What is a not fact? What kind of against opinion? So, otherwise, already finished that kind of organization, independent Japanese intention. They established already past 80 years. But nobody tried to discuss with European people. Even if they can speak out. Right?
Right.
I try to speak out that kind of issues I speak out. That an economist, a journalist told me, Clyde, you stop speaking that. It's not true. Right? Right? They cannot listen to me. The answer agree with me, right? They never open their mind. So, but by the way, just open your mind. Listen to me. Then thinking about that. Just what is disagree with me? What kind of issue do you have? Just tell me that. This is very important, right? So this is sort of things I just try to open this one.
Right. Right. So we're gonna have a very interesting discussion.
Never can discuss. Comfort woman also I never discussed with you about this one. But if we're going to talking about the page by page, this is definitely very detailed description I prepared for this. But this is not urgent one. Urgent issue is the spirit of Japan. This is very good. And okay, you're going to prepare the European culture, European system, everything else, and based upon this material. But I think very good for you. Also very good for us. And I'm going to submit for YouTube. Everybody recognize. Oh, Japanese is thinking that, and European is thinking that. A big gap there are there, and based upon their debate, their discussion. Maybe European people will understand some of those. American people understand some of those. Japanese people have more deep understanding. This is my true intention.
Okay.
Okay. None of those never listen to my opinion. Okay. Because nobody have never written down the detail of the spirit of Japan. Or 1 page, 2 page, 3 page, who knows? 100 page, still not yet. This I written down 400 pages. Then they get to understand. Okay, if you have some skeptical, okay, just move into reading this area, this portion. I'm just doing that. Okay.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
let's go into start. Takahashi, you are here? No, he's not here.
Yeah, there he comes. There he comes. There he comes.
Okay. あ、それ違う。これの領収違う。これは、違う。これはね、江戸の。もう一冊、別のやつ。もう一冊そこにあるんですよね。違う。違うなんですよ。もう一冊そこに。違う領収書。それがそう。僕はね、江戸にね、それでいつもお金払ってる。その領収書を書いて。Okay, let's go and start. Okay.
Today you have a very tough this program.
No, tough. It's easy for him. This is much easier than IT innovation.
Right. Well, this is how to summarize it and how to get the main points.
Oh, by the way, I need to give you some information. One more information I need to give you. See, have a look. I already written the book. Another book. You never see this before. Japanese culture overview. This is I didn't tell you before. This is a culture difference between Japan and USA.
Oh.
I written down this USA,
Right.
Japan, and Japanese, and Japanese religion and culture. Sorry, I didn't tell you this. And what is the ancient Japanese religion? Shinto. and American religion in culture, American religion, Protestants, and also communication style, indirect, vague answer Japanese,
Right.
like this, and USA Japanese, and American way,
Idea. Right.
like this,
Right. Masugu.
and
Right. We were talking about that.
right, this one, like this, and also the lot of statistics information, and statistics information, of course, and then national pride, Japanese national pride,
Hmm.
and gender role defined, gender role,
Gender law.
gender role, men and women.
Gender role. Yes.
Gender
Sorry.
role
sorry.
is this one, discrimination, gender gap. These are statistics and video, and this is Japanese omiyage,
Right.
gift custom, and Japanese what Japanese is, and then all the way down Japanese way, and Japanese video and so forth, Japanese courtesy call and something greetings and presentation style, and network methodology, Japanese network methodology, who are there like this, Suzuki, Volkswagen, split, why, and why, okay, just and that video, that so forth, and comparison of negotiation style, Japanese, North America, Latin America, so forth, and then many material like this, attendance of meeting, event, like this, and Japanese meeting event, and also the modern Japanese culture, like this, like statistics. Okay, I'm going to send it to you anyway.
Can you?
Okay.
So, actually, a lot of these images that you use in your book, are they not subject to copyright?
No, you don't need to worry about that. The American woman.
You don't worry about it. That's for sure.
No. I'm not famous. Family secrets in USA information about the family. American, this is Japanese clan. Clan means gozoku. And family violence. And violence statistics. And child reaching in Japan, USA, child rearing. Child rearing in Japan, USA different. And USA Japanese. And so not. American cafe etiquette. It's sort of American cafe etiquette, something like that. American custom. This is Japanese custom. And tipping etiquette, USA. As you know, tip. What the tip is. And then main points. And now is we're going to get into Japan-Chinese culture difference. This is Japan-China culture difference. All the way down, many pages, all the way, and 54 pages. Huh? Jason, maybe you know this one?
Right. We saw this in
Right?
in your presentation materials.
And this one is Japan, America, and China culture difference. Maybe I think this one maybe I have in book or just try to check. Where is it? Huh? Okay, that's not. I just try to find that. No, this one. Oops, I deleted. Oh my God, I deleted.
You delete it?
Yeah, I just deleted the Bible.
Tab his.
No, sorry. Oh no, this. Where? Why I can't find it? Oh, here. Yeah, and no, I don't submit this book yet. Okay, I'll submit this book in page. So, how I'm going to do this? This is not published yet. This is
Right. Maybe you can upload it on Google Drive and then share it.
No, I can put it here, but where is?
But it's not done yet.
Yeah, this. Okay, this is I just. What's the reason? I go and submit your book here, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So everybody review this one.
Right.
So that's the reason why I ask you to. Why don't you send that one?
Ah, right.
And this one is some difficulty. Is this how difficult is this? Is I'll just close it down. Oh, I need to convert
Right.
PowerPoint to
PDF maybe.
no. Special software. I use special software.
This is SlideShare.
Oh, you know that.
Yeah, sure.
SlideShare.
Yeah.
So SlideShare. Okay, I prepare SlideShare to submit to the UNN material. Okay, just I told you. Okay, so
But mine is still work in progress.
so you can have a look.
Right.
That's kind of material. And this is I'm planning to write that book after this one.
Right.
After that one, but I just postpone until the democracy is first, and America and Europe and Russia. Then after that, I'm going to write culture differences. So maybe you can touch it. This is you can doing that kind of my material based on, but or Spirit of Japan. But I prefer Spirit of Japan is
Right.
high priority than that. Okay. I forgot that to tell you. I recognize you write down Japanese culture. And this one they are going to submit to the members' homepage.
Right.
These people is members, so and Takashi member, so
Right.
they can have a look this one. If I go and submit this material on the homepage,
Okay. So I'm going to add the materials that you provided me into this and put it into this presentation. And the way that I foresee it now, but I'm not sure, is that I'm going to put
no,
these things.
you can do that. But only I can do it because this is homepage is you need to know the password.
Right.
So you cannot change it.
No, I'm not going to change it, but put it in this presentation.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So only I can do that.
Right.
Right.
Right. No, but I'm not saying that I'm going to change it in your website. but
Of
I'm
course,
going
you want
put
to
it in your
know that
presentation.
I'm going to give you the homepage. You can change it. It's up to you, but it's not easy to change it.
Right. No, I don't want to screw
This
it
is
up.
this is what this software is what something
Words.
WordPress.
Yeah. So I'm very familiar with WordPress. I
Oh,
make
you-
lots of sites with
Really?
WordPress. Yeah.
You can change it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. This is my homepage.
I think probably in the world there's about 40% of all websites in the world are made with WordPress.
Yes. That WordPress, but not easy. You're not familiar
No,
with it.
but
You use it.
I'm very much familiar with it.
Okay, you're familiar with it, but it's easy to change. I'm
Right.
familiar with it.
Right.
So I just
Right. Yeah. No, I saw you're using all kinds of like markup in the text and then paste it directly into WordPress. That's you probably use a few plugins that I might use.
Yeah. Okay, that's right. Okay, so this is my recommendation, and maybe you reconsider what's going to proceed on.
Right.
2 weeks later, you can have a look. My materials, Japan, US, China culture differences, and but also you can read. This is Japanese Spirit of Japan.
Right.
My priority is Spirit of Japan is more interesting rather than culture differences because deep mental attitude,
Right.
Japanese deep mental attitude, but American people, European people never know that, right? So never know that, so you have difficulty to communicate those people because they are something deep in their mind. even if they have gone everything, but they have heritage deep in their mind, something still survive.
Right.
Right. So kind of
right. So that's also basically actually the first today's program is European culture. It comes from somewhere, and it comes from our history. So I will start today discussing European history and its impact on culture in Europe today.
Oh, it's very good. So today we just kick off, and you're going to explain European history,
right?
And as far as you know about Japanese culture,
right?
And you're going to explain gaps among those,
right,
cultures.
So, and that I will base on your materials.
Yeah. So today you propose the
right,
issues.
right.
What kind of issues we need to consider? We need to negotiate, or we need to discuss with Japanese people, and you try to give the message. What's wrong things, the good things, and so forth. And last time my famous person told me, Clyde, you are thinking about Japanese politics completely wrong. Why? I asked him. Because Japanese election system is very terrible, very, very terrible. Especially Tokyo municipal election is terrible, he told me. But I told him, no. You know the only Japanese election, right? But if you consider for global election, Japanese is the best in the world. Sort of things, we have a lot of things. Many Japanese people complain among this country, a small country, insurance islands, right? But they never know what is the world, what is global aspect. But I know that I already written down democracy at the global level. Democracy. I know that. America, Africa, South America, I know that. Asia, I know that. But Japan is the best. But only Japanese people, they only know the only Japanese, politics. So they criticize Abe, something wrong, and of course something wrong. But, whatever. But this compared with America is much better. Compared with Europe, much better. So this is sort of things they should know that.
Okay, well, I think that is worth a debate, because I'm not entirely convinced by the democratic contents of Japanese society.
Like one example, last week we discussed about the emperor and Dutch king. Big difference about Japanese. But Japanese people, they cannot recognize what the difference is between us, between them.
Yeah. So
and Japanese people, they never know who is emperor. And I asked Ohashi, why Japanese people should not be allowed to study the daily life of emperor. He said, it's impossible. Why? He is, he said, I don't know why, I don't know, but protected. And super right-wing people get to know who are they. But he is an extreme example of spirit of Japan. But I tell you, nobody knows. He just succeed in 2000 their heritage, what they should do.
Right.
They every day and play God, or I don't know what kind of God they are playing, but there's some lot of things they should do, right? So sort of things, but nobody knows. And he never going to the supermarket, pick up product, never allow that, or she never have any human affairs. But normal people, it's unbelievable, right?
Well, I mean,
for example,
especially not true in our.
But I told my wife, it's emperor can't do any affairs. She told me, normal people don't do that. Okay,
well, look at the English royal family, for example. That's
everybody does,
Yeah.
completely different. So this is sort of things that Japanese people they never know. That I think very good to discuss for this area. Right? So,
but,
thank you for coming today. I'm sorry. I need to. Okay, since last week we're going to change the content of our discussion. Until last week we discussed IT innovation. Spending 6 months. And I was so bored. I asked him to switch the issues from today. And I asked him to throw the ball to discuss about Europe and Japanese culture, what's the gap, what differences, what's critics, so forth. And he's going to prepare material today. But this morning, Takahashi recommended, and also I'm thinking about, okay, I've written up the book of the Spirits of Japan. Just take one this book, I didn't need to give it to him. Spirit of Japan, and then I asked him to, based on this material, he's going to discuss what the differences between Europe and Japan, Spirit of Japan, Spirit of Europe. 今日夜出るよね。そう、夜出る人にこれあげるの。だから、okay, this is a book. I written 3 books for 6 weeks, and so this is I asked him to spend 1 hour to explain. You're going to read this, and this one is English Japanese. This translation I prepared. So we're going to show this book to overseas people, and maybe many people like him never agree with us. Okay, but you're a liar. No, I'm not a liar. You just read this.
I will not tell you you're a liar. Maybe I'll tell you that you're wrong, but not a liar.
No, why I'm so familiar liar? Because I just prepared material for Trump.
Yes.
Past several days. He's true liar. He's a true liar. Do you know that? Do you know him? I just read lots of YouTube. And
so, but nobody doubts that.
Everybody says she's a moron. He's a liar.
Right.
And he's a stupid guy.
Right.
And he never read the book. Do you know that? He never read the book.
Right. He's just reading tweets.
So he prepared material for him. He never read it. This is true.
Yeah, but he only trusts himself, right?
That's right. So then, whenever he got elected, and he and his wife, so astounded. It's unbelievable.
Right.
How come we got to win?
Yeah.
I can't believe it. He said that. He himself thought this is.
Yeah, that's the only thing I agree with him. So I can't believe that he.
And that's why I'm getting familiar with liar. So maybe Ed will going to tell me you're a liar. You know, Japanese, Japanese not like kind of person, people. But I tell you, this is true. Okay, but not now. 150 years ago.
Right.
Right.
So that's.
So, but I tell you, nobody knows. So I think you don't know, right? You don't know this. You don't know this. So,
right.
Whenever you read this book, okay, I can't believe that. But 150 years ago, exactly right. That kind of thinking they have before, but not now. So his wife don't know that.
But there is no right or wrong in this case, right? So that's basically that's it. But there's only differences in approach and thinking and moral compass. So like philosophy, it's about how to reason, but also what kind of morals are important. Like for example, Stoicism. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yuko would like to join.
Yuko what?
Yuko would like to join.
Here? Well,
Skype.
Skype? How she's going to join?
If we invite her to the meeting with Takahashi.
Can you do this?
Mm-hmm.
I can't do that. Hold. This is hold.
Hold? No, I want to add. Or maybe to the left. Okay, but I need to pause.
Oh, really? You can do this. Oh, no.
Yuki, no.
Yuki's my wife.
Yeah. So can we add her to the meeting? Wait.
Usually I cut it down and then I try to restart again.
No, I should be able to edit here.
But
Why do I not? Is that the only thing I can do? Is that
Stop share.
No, it's not sharing. Why is this? Oh wait, here. Aha.
Yeah. Then double click here.
Here. It's already going.
This is calling? No, just
It's calling.
no sound. Click here.
That's strange.
Usually I cut down and just connect again.
They should be able. They should work.
How about
Actually.
this? No, that one. This is not joining this.
Maybe she's not. Right. She's not a user yet. So
No, she's.
oh, you're in.
Yes, I'm in.
Oh, okay. So I thought you were not a connection of Uno-san yet.
Oh, he just concealed.
I'm not.
Oh,
but
she concealed
somehow was
her
invited.
face. You
Thank
concealed
you
your.
for.
Huh? What?
Thank you for let me join. I will listening. I will be listening.
Okay.
Only this
Hi,
one.
Takuma-san. Hi, Uno-san.
Are
Please
you
continue. I don't want to disturb you.
okay? Well, we are about to start. We have been talking about
program.
the series and the program and what we're going to do in this series. So we're about to get started.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Okay, let's go.
Okay.
Let's go to start.
All right. Good afternoon. Today is May 27th, and we are about to start something exciting, something new. We are about to kick off a series that we're still discussing the scope, but what we are intending to do is to have a look at culture and European culture, Japanese culture, and try to make to draw comparisons between the two of them. Not only contemporary culture, but also cultural history. In today's session, I plan to have a look at European history. Go through it in very quick steps. Look at the highlights. And basically, those should be ingredients that kind of explains as our culture. Where does it come from? Which elements in history played a role in today's European culture? Because that's kind of like fits into your DNA. It doesn't just go away. This is something that evolves over time and that becomes part of your culture and thereby it becomes part of our identity. So today we will have a look at European history and try to draw parallels with culture, and we try to look at a number of important ideas, for example, philosophy or important ideas that shaped the history of European culture.
When did you prepare this material?
Last night, this morning. Well, I have been actually. The thing is that I have been looking at many things, but I didn't know exactly how to get started. So I have been collecting links and materials left, right, and center, but without actually putting it into a presentation. So
yeah, I saw that. So that's the reason why I decided to recommend you to use my material.
Right.
Not easy.
Right. So that's
why easy? Because why difficult? Because if you consider European Japanese culture, But actually, what is the Japanese culture? This is very difficult,
Right.
right?
Right.
What is Japanese culture? This is I written down book, Disappeared Japanese Spirit.
Right.
And this is a disappeared spirit, but Japanese culture based on those disappeared spirit.
Right.
So if you just talking about Japanese culture, very difficult to dig into detail why they are doing that.
Right, but so there is of course an evolution in culture, both in Europe and in Japan. That means that basically the culture as it, for example, existed in Europe in the Victorian age is completely different as the cultures exist today in the Victorian age. That's actually the period. Let's say the 19th century.
Oh, 19th century.
Yeah.
By the way, since 19th century, they never respect Japanese people. Why? Even if
they never respect Japanese people.
Yeah, lose Japan won, but European people never respect Japanese people. Only Turkey, yes. Only Asian country, yes, but none of European country never respects Japanese.
Well, I think that basically, of course, there is a very strong Eurocentrism, and that is not something that is based on European tradition. We will see today that actually, of course, Europe is also has come from a behind position, but at that time there was a 100% European hegemony. At least in the eyes of the Europeans, because they were controlling the world. They had divided up the world in colonies, and they were trying to exercise their influence. Basically, Asia was there to be colonized. That was the general thinking of publics of the people in Europe. We in the Netherlands had many colonies. And
European people colonized Asian countries,
right.
Except including China, but except Japan.
Right, but because we could get a much better deal in Japan, then we could actually benefit from exclusive trade relations without having the need to invest any money into controlling that country, because that costs a lot of money. Colonialism, especially for us, was a matter of economics.
But Japanese are not colonized.
Right, because and when they were threatened to be colonized, they were smart enough to find a opportunistic foreign power that would actually help them to fend off European interests. So Japan very smartly chose the Netherlands, who were up and rising nation, to help to kick out the Portuguese and fend off any foreign influence, so that the Japanese could actually focus on their internal affairs and not be bothered by anybody else.
You're talking about Edo era?
Yeah.
By the way, I don't know you're Dutch people or Japanese people, but in Italy or France, German,
right.
All those people, they are discriminate. They are against Japanese people. Right?
I don't recognize that, I must say. I don't know how but I don't know what you mean when you say we discriminate Japanese. What
more simply saying neglect us.
Yeah, but that's something
else.
else.
A good example is G7, okay?
Right.
Abe joined this G7,
right?
But nobody recognized him.
But that's nothing to do with discrimination in Japan. That has more to do with Abe.
Why?
Well, because Abe doesn't have anything significant to tell or contribute or a strong opinion.
Right. This is every kind of meeting, every kind of consortium, every kind of sort of things is the same.
But I think that is not a problem of discriminating or respect. It's a problem of communication and of basic framework, the way that we discuss, and we're going to talk about that later also. Kimoto-san raised that topic. The way that we derive a conclusion or we make progress is through debate and through discussion. And the rules of discussion are very much based on our linear active thinking, which means that we look at reality as we see it, as our subjective reality as we see it. Then we try to create a model out of that reality and put maybe some statistics and some things. But basically, we try to create a model and then persuade the other side that our vision.
Sorry, what kind of model are you talking about?
I'm talking about any kind of discussion. So what is the okay? So this is where we stand, and this is where we need to go. This is where I want to go, and I want to go there because of this and that reason. Therefore, let's go there. And the other side has their idea of this is where we stand and this is where we want to go, and these are the steps that we need to follow. Then we need to discuss, okay, first of all, do we agree on our vision of the reality? Then the second of all, we need to agree on the steps, and then we need to and thereby we can agree on the solution. But that is very much a theoretical approach that is based on abstraction. Whereas the Japanese approach is much more towards observation. So we have a big question, and we look at that question from all kinds of angles. And our views are not mutually exclusive. It's not either or. It's and. So we kind of agree what we are seeing, and then we kind of try to create a consensus. Whereas in Western, and actually the rest of the G7 thinks of, okay, it's my way or your way, not and. It's more a matter of debate. So we feel very uncomfortable in discussing and debating with the Japanese because there is no debate, there is no counter argument. If we try to create a statement, so this and that, then the Japanese will look at you and says, I hear what you're saying, and then they start to talk about something else, and we think, what has that?
Very vague.
What that has nothing to do with it.
Very vague.
So we feel uncomfortable, and we think, so okay, I'm not getting anywhere here.
Okay, I have one question. Is for example, Trump decided to not meet with North Korea.
Right.
Immediately, Abe agrees Trump's decision.
Right.
Right?
Right.
But no reason.
No reason.
How do you think?
Well, I think that's smart because I don't think there is a very good reason for Trump to
Okay, no, what I'm thinking about, okay, Macron, I'm thinking about it's a German American.
Right.
How do they think?
I think.
Abe's attitude.
Oh, I really think that
This is European opinion.
right. So the European opinion about that is that okay, Japan doesn't have any backbone; they just follow the U.S. as usual.
Like a slave.
Right.
That's right.
This is my, okay. This is my difficult, so how to handle this kind of issue. Okay. Okay. Japanese is what I don't know the English word, but this is forward of the United States.
So basically,
Right? After World War II, Japanese every kind of forward, one of state of American, United States of one states, right? Everything we're going to agree with you, kind of type of decision they made in the past.
I think what a lot of Europeans might be thinking about Japanese politics is a lack of willingness to become a full partner who equally shares in the revenues and burdens of whatever needs to be done in the world.
The war?
In the world, yeah. So, for example, when it comes to the price and the costs involved, for example, with global refugees, Japan almost doesn't accept any refugees, even though it's in the continent where most refugees that has most of the refugees in the world. Another example is that the Paris Agreement, Japan kind of silently.
Oh, this is completely unfair. Unfair.
Why?
You should accept, refugees.
Right.
Right?
Right.
No excuse.
So, but basically,
Okay, Japan accepted 1 million.
Right.
Okay, Japan should accept 1/10 of 1 million. 100,000. You should accept those people. Why you cannot?
Right. So
If Abe agree with Trump, whatever he said, but this is not fair.
So that's why you don't gain respect, because you're not a partner. You're just only looking after your national interest, and you're not.
But this is you said okay, good point. National interest, you said, but Japanese people never chasing national interest. Never chasing national interest. I never heard about national interest. No, they are not that type of people. But this is not a reason for chasing national interest. They just close country.
Right.
But this is fair.
That's their national interest.
Okay, this is a big problem. Why European people hate us? Okay, why Brexit?
We hate you.
Why Brexit happened? You know why they don't like immigrants. They don't want to accept immigrants. Okay, that we want to get out from EU because they don't want to accept immigrants.
And all kinds of other fears about becoming European and losing the British identity and things like that.
Just immigrant.
That's a big issue.
Big issue.
Yeah.
But actually, the British people is teased by Leaver's opinion, right? And they not done recognize. They have lied, so they don't change their mind. But they should change their mind, but they don't change it. But immigrant. But if the European people consider Japanese people as immigrant, they never accept any of those. Oh my God, it's terrible.
Yeah.
So it means if I'm French person, I don't want to talk with Japanese people. They are crazy guys. They never accept any of those. This is not fair. Are you the member of G7? No kidding. Get out of here. This is my common sense.
Right.
How do you think?
I tend to agree. I think there is a definite I think there is disconnect between the way that Western countries try to do something, put themselves in the center of the world, right? That's also G7. G7 is where England and especially France try to get in the front seat of the bus always. Even though the relevance of France has become less and less, but France is still in the bus. They're always there. If there's a conflict with Russia and Ukraine, France is there. What are they exactly doing? Like it's really like, but France wants to be in the center. They want to be there. They want to be the driver of what's happening in the world. They want to take a central position. Whereas Japan doesn't feel that need at all. They do not necessarily want to be the center of the world. They are very comfortable in Japan, thank you very much.
Why?
Because they're on an island and they didn't play an active role for 400 years and things were pretty good back then.
It means, okay, so, if you're thinking so, I say you are not our member or colleague. You are not belong to us. You are different people. You are a monkey.
No, I don't think that is true. I think that there is on the other hand there's a lot of respect for Japan.
Let's see that G7, not only G7, any kind of conference, convention, Japanese people are not joining with dinner or party with European people. They cannot communicate with people. If you're going to make a vote, or if you're going to get the support from European people, they never spend time at night.
Right.
If you don't spend time at night, none of these kind of opinions are not going to be accepted by European people.
So it seems like, politically speaking, the Japanese do not really want to participate in global affairs.
Why?
They want to be there to make sure that their national interest is being
I know
followed.
that I when I was young and I joined a global organization, and I was a global organization co-member of this organization. At that time, Japanese people don't want to join kind of meeting, discussion, and what they want to do, they want to go to Japanese restaurant, and only they want to speak to only Japanese people.
Right, but it's still like that. I mean, you remember Koizumi-san, who
very exception.
No,
His
no, no.
father?
No.
Father?
No.
Son.
The member of Swing by Koizumi-san.
Oh.
So he also says, well, during the day,
Who's the
I
Koizumi?
work hard. Koizumi-san, he works at the moment with Funabashi-san
He's
with IoT.
He's a special person. This is educated overseas. So
Right, but still, his English is almost fluent, but still he wants to enjoy Japanese restaurant, go drink with the Japanese delegation members at night. So work hard, play hard is his motto, and but play hard for him is to meet with Japanese people, drink with them, and
Okay,
not
I tell you my
spend-
background because my family was Chinese for 30 years,
Mm.
and then I don't have to spend time at night with Japanese food, Japanese people, and speak Chinese.
Mm.
Okay, so I have nothing problem for spending with overseas people at night. I don't have a kind of custom to take Japanese food and meet with Japanese people. If they are not speak Japanese, I don't care about that.
Mm.
But Japanese people usually, domestic people, they speak Japanese at night, so they want to speak Japanese at night,
right. So to relax.
right?
Right, but it's not only Japanese language; it's also Japanese culture. The way that you don't have to debate everything. That you can that when you're discussing something, that you're not immediately attacked upon your opinion. That can be parallel truths. It's not only the language. It's like the whole thing, that the whole way that Japanese people meet when they're together. It's a different dynamic than what's happening in.
Okay, not only night session, but also daytime at the meeting time.
Mm.
And the European people ask to Japanese people, I'll give you time to speak out 10 minutes. Why don't you speak out your opinion? But they said, no, thank you very much. I don't have any opinion. But actually they have, right?
Mm.
But some cases they want to speak out something, say something, right? But, okay, just give you 10 minutes. But everybody don't understand what his intention is. Right?
That's a
Big problem.
yeah.
And this morning I said to the Takashi and Kimoto, and I made presentation, BPO presentation at Bangladesh. Okay? This is big, countrywide big, 2 years ago. At that time, I was just member of the presentation member. Big presentation is organized session. I was one member, and chair is Microsoft President Singapore.
Mm.
And I asked her to make several minutes, and I speak up opinion. But she told me, Clyde, give you 1 minute. Why 1 minute? She does not know who Japanese is. If she's going to give Japanese for 10 minutes, but he's going to speak up. It means something else. It means not hitting point for this meeting.
Right.
Right? Right? Do you understand, right? So she thinks, oh my God, kind of Japanese want to speak or something, but I don't want to miss this meeting, right? So I told her, no, I'm different. Some things is happening. This one also, the Abe's one example is he followed Trump. No reason, just I follow you. But French people and German people, Italian people, why are you doing that? What you thought? He tried to check in for the ministry's homepage, no explanation. Just Abe is 100% agree with him. What's the reason why? It's no reason. It's kind of, are you celebrity in the United States? Tell the truth. Exactly. Yes. You don't need to come to G7. Right? Sort of thing. Macron is different. Or Merkel is different.
Yeah, Macron is very different. Yeah.
So they speak out their own opinion, and they try to consider their country's sovereignty. Japanese has sovereignty or identity. I don't think so. This is the other big reason why.
Yeah.
Why they do that? So this is a European-Japanese culture big gap. So never understand each other, right?
Right. Question.
For example,
question.
okay, yeah, question. Go ahead. Yeah.
Question. So, of course, Abe is how much different is Abe's role when he's at G7 compared to, for example, Takashi's role when he's in Vietnam? So is Abe really the CEO of Japan, or does he still need to sell any like concession that he's making overseas at home?
Okay, this is I think if Abe is if I'm a position of Abe, we need to go to speak up. Why you going to stop the meeting with North Korea? And he said he several comments, and my opinion like this. And at the conclusion, I'm going to support you, but Japanese government need to consider for several issues, and also we need to negotiate with China. I can do that. And South Korea, we're going to give them some point. This kind of remaining point should be solved. Otherwise, simply just again to cancel the meeting is too risky. But I'm thinking about, I follow you, but I'm going to consider China, South Korea, and so on. So Japanese, what kind of role we're going to have? Common sense, we should speak up that kind of things. Otherwise, this is a moron. Right? That's everybody, European people think about. What's crazy is he? What's his opinion? He's a slave? Slave to America? Who is he? This is a very, very fundamental issue we need to consider. It's that guy has no pride, no dignity. Right? If I'm a European person, I think that, right? So, like Merkel or German, even if ordinary people, they're going to invite me for dinner, they're going to ask me the first question, how do you think about Merkel? The first question. If I can't answer for them, that dinner, as soon as possible, if you didn't go back home. I don't spend time with you. Okay, German people like politics, okay? Not British. So this is the kind of Japanese people. Any kind of stories, they cannot follow up that. Okay, I'm reading Nikkei newspaper or bullshit. If you Nikkei newspaper, son of a bitch, you cannot speak up with German people. Right? Do you know what Putin? Do you know the British people? And she is what she is thinking about, and how to think about Brexit, and Italy is populist, 5-star movement. None of Japanese people don't know that they can talk with European people. Right? That is our problem. Abe's problem, okay? Immediately, I'll follow you, and that's only one message. Oh my God, I did depressed. I really depressed. And also Japanese people, I understand they can speak English, so they don't want to spend night with overseas people, European people. I don't want to spend dinner with you because, I don't want to speak English. And furthermore, if you can fluently speak English, but he cannot speak who you are. Huh? Like, that's the reason I wrote this book. Who you are. Okay? And Japanese, Toju Nakae, this famous our philosopher in 300 years ago, and he thought patience is very important. Can discuss, he can make it. Right? And they're going to ask you, what kind of culture do you have? What kind of culture do I have? What? We don't have a special culture we have. No, we should have. Tradition? What kind of tradition? Japanese are conservative or no? Simple question Japanese people cannot answer for them.
Well, you think that nobody can answer the question, but are you conservative or not? I think it's quite obvious that Japan tends to be very conservative, no?
No, Japanese people cannot answer for this. Do you know how do you think about comfort of human? And how do you think about World War II, what Japanese did? And Japanese people, is material, no neutral material. So, no neutral material, so they cannot answer this right or wrong. this is left wing people writing article. Oh, what is the true story? Huh? This is the quote of Japanese education after World War II. Okay, and the Japanese teachers never give them education. Students should stand up at the time of national anthem. You don't need to stand up. Well, you should not stand up. Go ahead. Right?
Mm.
What the hell is they teaching them? So this kind of sort of why European people hate us is a very difficult issue to solve this issue. But I daily try to solve these issues. Otherwise, Japanese in future we have no prosperity. Okay, we have no prosperity. America is a friend for us. You should not believe that. Consider for American history, they're going to eat you, right? So we need to consider for balance: Asia, Europe, Africa, and America, South America. So Japanese need to go into balance the country, but
but the question is that going to be a defensive balance or an offensive balance? Because I think at the moment they're not taking a position, or we follow you or whatever, but they don't come part of the global political arena because they don't take active part in solving the problem. Okay, right? They will send peacekeeping troops to God.
Of course,
but that's not really like taking care of it, like taking care and bringing people back into your country, for example.
Exactly. Just both they should do that. Like Rohingya is one example. Okay, Rohingya is they have lots of some Buddhist people is gives them land for life. Japanese need to do something.
Right.
Right.
But it's difficult. I mean, there is not a very open attitude for the average person in the street towards.
Oh, of course. This is it's a Japanese broadcasting, issues. Japanese people, they don't know outside Japan. Okay. So this is a real issue. Japanese people, they don't need to see what's happening outside Japan. This is a real problem. So, this is my concern for European culture, Japanese culture, big gap. So I recognize.
Okay.
You are staying in Japan for more than 10 years. Your wife is Japanese. You are much more familiar with big gaps we have. Right? So this is what I want to know: how European people thinking about Japanese, how Japanese think about how Japanese is. I tell you, okay, Abe going to join the G7. He speak up any kind of opinion at the meeting. Any opinion. Like, if he's going to speak up something, everybody agree with him. This kind of opinion is useless. If he speak up something, majority of people against him, this is variable. Like he want to change their attitude. He want to change their thinking mind.
Right.
This is variable. But Japanese never do that. Because they cannot do that. If German against him, if French against him, he cannot make counter opinion. Okay, we're going to spend, by the way, I want to talk with you after this meeting, 2 hours, 3 hours, 5 hours, I don't care. Okay, I want you to understand what my true meaning is. Which Prime Minister said this? Oh my God, she reacted. She was saying, oh my God, this is Google. Google said, oh my God, Christ, what the hell they are talking about? This is an AI robot that answer me. What the hell they are talking about?
Is that like Siri?
Close your mind. Yeah. Close your mouth. This is what this is what I'm talking about. This. So this is in my book. Okay, the first book that I'm talking about. three virtues. Three virtues. The three, one, two, three. Third one is valor. Courage. Valor. Valor means if this you think this is true, you should speak out your opinion. What kind of situation you are in? Okay, you should speak out with courage. This is valor.
Okay, so but what is the question here? Is that a lack of courage, or is that a lack of actually forcing yourself to take a strong position on anything?
No, he's just lack of courage. Lack of courage. Even if the European people make decision for NATO, for America or Russia, and the Japanese people agree with you, they don't want against opinion. I never heard about this against opinion.
But is that because they lack courage, or is that because they don't have a strong opinion because they feel, oh yeah, that's also possible, we're not entirely sure what our position is in this matter?
Just think about Macron. Macron, he speaks out what he thinks.
Right, he's French.
Right?
They always speak out.
The American people against him, he never mind.
No.
This is important. What I want to say, Japanese people, you should have dignity. Okay? You should have pride. If you have pride, you speak out your opinion. Right? Including Prime Minister. You should have your opinion. This is what my message is.
So okay, so but for you it's absolutely certain that it's a lack of pride and dignity. That's Japanese people do not speak out their opinion on events like the G7.
Exactly. Any kind. I'm always Takashi. You are going to speak out at that. Not always, okay. You
follow your
not
boss.
Always. You're going to be fired, you know. but you know, time and
courage,
place.
Courage.
Time and place and situation you need to consider.
Right.
And,
so no, that's exactly.
Yeah. Okay. I was working with former company. Former company say, think straight. Talk straight. This is our culture.
Right.
But somebody said, okay, think straight, talk straight, Clyde, I can speak and talk straight. Oh, bullshit, you know.
Right.
You need to consider the situation, your environment. In many cases, you can speak out the truth, you know. This is, of course, a common sense. Right? But, you know, I tell you, G7 is Japanese Prime Minister. Okay, any kind of conference, Congress, whatever, and Japanese people joined, even if he's chair, this meeting, but he never against opinion, even if his belief this is not true. Right?
So okay. So, but what I was just wondering about is this really a lack of courage, or is this a lack of clarity and the lack of really putting yourself behind a position? Because position is locking yourself into a into a limited point, and then gradually, like usually I find that in when Japanese discuss among themselves, they are really trying to find consensus. So they say, oh, isn't this like this and like that, and then basically after everybody had their saying, they kind of agree upon what they have in common. So there is not a strong belief. Nobody really takes a very strong stance. Commonly, nobody takes a very strong stance about a certain thing. We should do this, or we should do that. We can do this. Yeah, we can do that. We can do that. Yeah, that's all. Everything right.
Okay.
So what is our?
Okay.
Is that also part of the problem, or
yes,
is it less?
Two messages. One message is 150 years ago, Edo era, and Edo Baku taught warrior. What is the man of character? How to build in yourself, establish yourself, establish self. Kind of education they did for 300 years. One is, in the case of you need to speak out the truth, you should speak out with valor. One issue. This is disappeared 150 years ago, 100 years ago. Disappeared. So politicians and business people at the Congress, conference, meeting, and whatever, they reluctant to speak out. Any type, any situation, they reluctant to speak out his opinion. This is one problem. Okay. Second issue is Japanese is beforehand they had skill to listen people's opinion. And Japanese people have patience for everything. My wife speaks something criticize, claim for me. They had patience before. Okay, listen everything, whatever she said before, but not now.
Really?
I told Takashi complain, you should not against opinion against her. She said, no. This is I don't accept you. No, you should accept everything. Okay, but you said I accept everything, even if I against you. Accept everything. What does it mean? Accept everything. What you say. What wife said. Okay, she is completely wrong. I said, but accept everything. Following day, okay, and repeat what she said. Oh, she's doing it. Following day. I don't know why, but this seems reasonable. What you said is a strange thing that you want to ask me. What the kind of thing that you said, talking to me, of course. But wrong opinion, wrong saying, of course, some cases have. But usually, she is talking about some claims. But she is talking about, oh, she's crazy, some bitch. But open mind and listen to her. Okay, I agree with you. Then following day, I don't know why. This is 100%, almost 100%, I can accept her. This is 150 years ago, Confucianism education. But all those gone, right? No follower and no listening and no patient and kind of current Japanese people. It means no lost identity. This is identity. Okay. Where are you?
I don't think that we are that good at being patient either.
Oh, okay. But patient is Eastern people, Chinese and overseas Chinese and Japanese people culture in 100 years or thousand years. And this is in English saying just do you know the flow?
Flow?
Yeah. What Kimoto said, zone. Do you know zone?
To be in the zone, yeah.
Yeah, so kind of ideas. Lost your mind. Empty your mind. Okay? Just at that time, you lost yourself, right? And then at that time, you can listen anything else. Just you can get from outside in your heart. This is Confucianism. This is heart of when you're born, at that time your heart is, you don't have any protection, right? Just always going back to the heart when you're born. Okay, so take up that everybody is just concerned for your money, your status, your family, and everything, and you protect yourself. That's the reason why many issues you do not listen from others' opinion. Right? So Japanese is, I think, conservative means kind of sort of things is very strong issues trying to avoid, because this is insurance. Okay, so they don't live, they don't communicate with overseas people, and overseas people is different opinion from us. So whenever they're going to listen from overseas people, and immediately they're going to decide, oh, this is not our culture. This is not accept their opinion is different from us. Just no. Just wait a minute. Just wait a minute. Just accept your mind. Accept, listen in your heart. Then think one day. Then you're going to make judgment later. The kind of sort of thing disappeared in 150 years. So we need to revive. That's the reason why I didn't know that's the content of my Spirits of Japan.
Well, if I'm totally honest, I don't think that we have much of that in our culture anyway to begin with. But actually, if you look back at the time when Christianity played a very important role into our culture, more important than today, that's all based on endurance, right? Endurance, because
Are you?
Yeah, in our culture, because basically what we are taught to do is that we live our life for Christ. We follow the Bible, we follow the rules, and the reward will only be received by the time you die, because then you go to heaven. It's also a matter of endurance, about biting your tongue, not giving in to indulge yourself officially. If you are a so-called good Christian, then actually I think that is part of European culture as well.
Okay,
not be seen today.
I said 2 points. One is Japan Baro College. And second is Japanese never open their mind. Two is European people, they have two issues they have, because they are always meeting people, discussing people, negotiating people, criticizing people. So whatever they have, anytime they have an opinion, they will speak out their opinion. Second is they speak opinion, so instead they have skill to how to listen, right? So many people are familiar with listening people, the other people's opinion. Listen and speak up. This kind of networking and communication skill and negotiation skill is when they were child, they are doing for many years. They're familiar with that. Japanese, none. Japanese people, okay, our 100 million village, we don't need to communicate anything, right? Even if wife and friend, just get together, just drink, eating, no speak, but can be easy to understand each other. This is a problem. But European people come, one person, one American, or Asian people, also we don't speak anything at all. Just communicate, no speak. It's peacefully. We get together, associated, unified. But if one American, one European get in the team, now we get a lot of problem. Because European people, American people never accept without discussion, without exchanging opinion. So now Japanese lost. Right? Japanese, American people, European people ask him, speak out something, but he don't want to speak out because he don't know how to speak. Right? If you are just coming from here from Dutch yesterday, I'm going to speak out something, maybe you never understand, but you stay in Japan for more than 10 years. You should understand, right, what I mean?
Right. Well, I think that in my experience, I wouldn't say that Japanese people do not have an opinion. The opinion is not always phrased and put in a way that it invokes debate, or it's very clearly takes a position on the matter. So that means that very often what you ask a lot is, so what? So it doesn't mean that they don't have an opinion. It's just that it's phrased in a way, phrased in a way that is non-confrontational, that it doesn't invoke debate, discussion. It doesn't make clear what the position is and what ultimately the person who's giving his opinion wants to achieve. It's just a kind of an observation. It's kind of describes it, and it doesn't really bring us further in discussion with the Westerner, because the Westerner will say, this is what my reality, and I believe therefore we should do this, and then the Japanese opinion against that, or the Japanese opinion is not against that, but it's just describing one of the elements of the same problem, but it doesn't say whether it's for or against, or doesn't address the reasoning or the data that has actually been used by the Westerner to arrive at his conclusion. So there is this kind of bewilderment.
What is it?
Bewilderment. Bewilderment. It's kind of like, huh? the bewilderment is very often the case. So they don't speak literally and figuratively. They don't speak the same language.
This is problem. So how are we going to do it? How are we going to solve these issues?
Well,
we should study English, as last week you said.
Yeah, but I also feel that that is not enough, because actually one of the like we discussed just before, another element of this of this problem of basically what prevents Japanese people to take a firm stance is that they don't have the power, the delegated power on behalf. They don't speak from themselves. They speak to represent the group, but since the group didn't really derive, it doesn't have the power to make decisions. Basically, whatever happens, it needs to go back.
What do you mean? They don't have power? Have power?
Have the power to decide, because
Reluctant something?
A Western person, when
Indecision?
Right, because the individual is not central here. Like a Western person will speak and basically taking responsibility, right? So if you are, for example, in a business context, of course, the person, when he's representing the company, he's representing the company. But first and foremost, he takes personal responsibility regarding the negotiation. So he will commit to something, right? This is a personal commitment. Whereas the Japanese business person will represent the company first. He is merely a representative of that company. He doesn't take responsibility because he cannot. He needs to basically go back to his home organization and then ask, okay, what do we think about that? Can we do this? Or can we not do this? So there is this disconnect between two people who seemingly want to negotiate, where this person says, okay, let's play ball, let's make a deal, right? This is a one-to-one person, and this person on the Western side has the power to make decisions right there and then, because he already negotiated. He's clear on what the position of his home organization is, and he's also clear, because he negotiated that with his home organization, how many degrees of freedom he has, how much he can make price concession, how much he can make quality concessions, etc. So he has the power to decide. This person, on the other hand, doesn't have the power to decide, because there is no clear idea yet of what the home organization wants, and he didn't get any degrees of freedom to negotiate on any of these things. So there is a complete disconnect in what they are doing here, and this person thinks like, okay, come on, let's play ball, let's make a deal. But they can't come together because of language, and because of the way that they perceive a problem, and the fact that they don't have the power to decide.
This is very at risk Japanese has. What does this mean? Why at risk means? Like in recent incident, Nippon University's American football.
Oh, I heard about that. Yeah.
And the responsible person is of this organization. He avoid his responsibility, sort of avoid his responsibility, and he speak out his opinion more, precisely. And Japanese people, they are working as an organization, not individual. So he cannot speak out whatever he thinks. He needs to consult with key person of the organization,
right.
Make consensus, then speak out something. At that time, he tried to make consensus, and asking people is something wrong. They couldn't speak out more through open-minded, right? Instead of student. So this caused lots of problem. This is very similar to politics, right? Like current Abe's politician government has run to some treatment as procedures for financial issues, something wrong, right? And this is a kind of concealed factor, something they did. This is because of I think individual respective person, they don't have speak out what he thinks, or this is not custom to speak out his opinion.
No courage to make his own decision.
That's cause problem is get more bigger, right?
Okay, but you always say you need to follow your boss, right?
Yeah, follow
the-
both or
okay,
follow,
so let's
follow organization.
let's say you're the football player, and then you can say, okay, you need to have dignity, and you need to have the dignity to stand up and give your opinion. But if you don't know what the opinion of your boss is and what your boss wants,
no. What the point is, Mr. Uchida is the responsible person for this organization, right?
right?
But why he didn't speak out his own personal opinion?
Ah,
Because he need to consult with the key person of organization.
right,
But key person is many of key persons among the university.
right.
So he takes time. But he cannot speak out his own opinion. Okay. Maybe or probably if he's more American style like me, he speak out his own opinion. Okay, I'll take responsibility. Right? I'm wrong. I'm wrong order for him. But if he speak out that, okay, this cause he just some problem for his belonging to university. That's the reason he cannot speak out his own opinion.
Right.
He just asked for the school master. He just asked for board of director.
Right.
And many people, and the majority people said, you need to speak out that kind of issue. Okay, you conceal everything. Majority asked him. Then he,
So for him, actually, his opinion is less important, or his position in the matter is less important than the interest of the university.
That's right. This is a problem.
Right. Well, it's a problem, but it's actually that has a continuity.
Government is the same. Current government problem. is the same.
Right. So this is also like, but that actually goes back to, I think, a longer Japanese history. That actually, like for example, the whole phenomenon of harakiri is something that we don't understand.
Oh yeah, that's exactly the same.
But that's actually because you don't want to cause problems, or you don't want to put members of the organization where you belong to in trouble. Therefore, you take responsibility by committing suicide, for example. That is an extreme form, but that is that's the same. So that for us, that's completely incomprehensible. Like, what? Why would people commit suicide? Nobody ever would consider committing suicide for his organization or for his group, because we feel like, oh, okay, we screwed up. Well, okay, we just leave the organization and we go somewhere else.
Japanese people is always not individual. He is always thinking about team, region, company, country,
Right.
government.
Right.
So one of those belongings.
So we cannot cause any shame or trouble to the organization that we belong to.
Good point and bad point. Good case and bad case.
Right. So, but that is difficult, because if that is the case, if that's the primary responsibility, then what we want to be 100% sure, as a Japanese negotiator, for example, that we fully represent the best interest of the organization. That means that you are not going to negotiate with your own organization to get degrees of freedom to actually make decisions on behalf of the organization. Like a Western negotiator will do that to become the star of the negotiation. He will be the one who makes the deal, right? So the typical American salesman, he makes the deal. It's the salesperson who steps forward, who is the star of the show. Trump comes to mind. So he's the star of the show. He negotiated the deal and gets it in his hands. That he gets a big bonus for that, and takes all credit. But that's all because he puts himself first. He puts himself first by being a good negotiator with his own organization and with the counterpart. But that's purely based on individualism, not so much on the interest of the organization that he represents. It's purely protecting his own interests. So that is normal. That's how we see that negotiation should be done. That is completely different from a person who speaks, who feels honor, who feels that he's merely a representative of that organization, who's not there for the bonus, but it's more there to actually get the best deal for his organization, and that is a process of exploration, not taking a firm position on how the best deal should look like, but mainly becoming part of the process of reaching consensus with your business counterpart.
It means he is authorized, right, for
Right.
these issues.
Right, but
So-
that is the Western counterpart. So he's authorized. He is an individual. He is the person to deal with. So that's the based on that role, based on that position, he will go out after dinner, drink, and try to basically get the negotiation moving by making some concessions, doing. Bringing things forward, but it's the personal, on that personal level you make a deal, not on a organization to organization level, but on the personal level you reach the agreement.
Do you know the Japanese way?
I have a so okay, best ask you, what is the Japanese way?
Japanese way is okay. Representative person is join the meeting for TPP,
Right,
and he can speak out his opinion the first 3 hours.
right,
And following 4 days, he can speak out any opinion because Japanese society, Japanese organization need to make consensus. 250 people.
right,
Each department they made a consensus. So if going to direction is going to changing, they need to make consensus. Agriculture, automobile, every kind of government organization make
Exactly.
consensus.
Yeah.
So first only 3 hours they can speak out opinion.
Right.
Then since then they can change the policy, change the rule, regulation. He can speak out anything at all.
So
because-
there is no rebut.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So this is Japanese culture. But before World War II, different. But recently, they. This is very difficult. These companies are very similar. Right? But not so strict, but very similar. That is the other problem. Like American people, European people, they are easy representative of this company. Now negotiate, okay, just more 10% discount, but Japanese usually cannot answer for big discount so much. Okay?
Right.
They can answer for him.
Right. So they need to go back and discuss that, and so basically this is where you lose the connection in the international business society, because the majority of the business people are the movers and the shakers, as they say, in the business world. They actually do not go back because they've already done their homework and they can make those decisions themselves. That's how you build the relationship. So I can if I am merely a vessel, so I'm merely a communicator, somebody who receives the message from the negotiator of the other side and then needs to go back, then basically, for me, as a Western businessman, you are useless. Because you cannot make any decision. So the only thing, I can just write you an email and tell you what exactly I want, and then I need to wait 3 weeks for you to come back and have collected all the opinions of the people at home, and you can give me your counter proposal, perhaps. But that's not how you win respect from a Western business person, because Western business person, when among themselves, they do negotiation. They don't have to constantly turn around and ask permission from their home, from the home front, because they are the drivers of this deal. They manage their home organization, not the other way around.
It is difficult to solve this issue. Right? By the way, I tried to. You got break because I tried to cut out this.
Oh.
One